Hey, what's going on, people? It's your man Rosie here, and welcome to the Nerd News Podcast. This time, we're going to talk about the upcoming next season of Netflix's hit show Wednesday. This show is, of course, based on the classic Addams Family. It stars Jenna Ortega as Wednesday Addams as she goes to like a boarding high school kind of deal for people referred to as outcasts. They're, your fantasy monsters, your vampires, there's sirens in there. There's, of course, werewolves, and these are outcasts. Yeah, and this school is called Nevermore. Yeah, it's a neat dynamic, very Harry Potter-esque. Yeah, so, and the main creative visionaries behind it are Charles Addams, Alfred Goh, Miles Millar, April Blair, Kayla Alpert, and, of course, Tim Burton, legendary director right there. So, yeah, really good show. I really liked Season 1, and I'm excited for Season 2. So we're going to break down the trailer we just got a little bit and make some predictions. But first, I've decided there's something I'm just going to go ahead and say here because there's no way I'm getting through the whole podcast without it being obvious. So here it goes. Yeah, yes, I indeed do have a very big crush on Jenna Ortega. Yeah, so there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and own that. So it was my choice for it to be said. Yeah. So it's funny because I'm really not one to obsess over celebrities. It's just not really who I am as a person. But when it comes to her, like friends that I've had for years have picked up on this, where I have this very distinct type when it comes to my taste in women. That there's just this personality that I like, and Miss Ortega, she is like the embodiment of it. Like, she's, of course, extremely beautiful, like, an unbelievably beautiful woman. I love her playful personality, like how she's always playing around and messing with people. It's adorable. As soon as I started seeing promos for Wednesday, I took one look at her and I was like, uh-oh. And then when I saw those friends, we're nerds. Of course, that show's gonna come up when we talk about stuff that's going on. And yeah, so like when it comes up, I was trying to like play it low, and they know me well, and I'm not good at hiding when I'm embarrassed. So they were like, "Hey, Rosie, you have some thoughts on the star of the show here?" And I tried to play it off like with humor. So I kind of just went, "No." And they were like, "We don't believe you." And I just kind of thought about my options for a second there, and I was like, "I know." Yeah, so there you have it. Now that's out there. So now let's talk about some predictions for Wednesday Season 2. And another thing I should bring up here is in case you can hear that little whiny sound in the background. So I'm kind of alone in the house, so I have to take care of our pups. If you're on YouTube, here's Miss Poppy here. This is one of them. Hey, Poppy, do you want to say hi to people on the podcast? Hello. Hi, Poppy. Yes. Yeah, this is one of my puppies, Poppy, and the other one, Ginger, is here. She's over there. Yeah. So I'm not going to grab her right now. So, yeah, if you hear them whining or some barking, that's just them. They're very emotionally needy. They get upset when people leave the house. So I'm to try my best to keep them calm, but yep, that's how it is. So one of the key elements to the show that was really established in Season 1, but I think is going to be further explored in Season 2, is the Addams Family history. Yeah, and it's really neat to have in there because it also can tie into the classic Addams Family shows. Those shows, the live action, the movies. Like, it's a neat way you can tie that stuff in. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I was never really an Addams Family fan, but yeah, I enjoy lore. If you're not familiar with me, I'm mainly known for my Elder Scrolls fan theories. Yeah, that's on my main channel. This is a new channel of mine. Yeah, so yeah, I like the lore. And doing some research here, I think I have some ideas for what could be going on. So we see, like, in the opening that Wednesday is traveling somewhere. She's going through, like, airport or some travel, a train station maybe, security. And I do have an idea as to where she's going. I think maybe she's going to visit Grandmama, because we know that she's going to be in the show, because she's going to be played by Joanna Lumley. That's been confirmed. And the shot we see of her in the trailer is that she's at a graveyard. And we do see another shot in which Wednesday is in a graveyard and she reads a grave that has the first name chopped off, but reads Addams. Yeah, it reads Addams resting in death's sweet embrace. So there's an Addams buried here. So I wonder if Grandmama lives like where the Addamses are originally from, and Wednesday's going to visit her, but really what she's doing there is investigating the family. Like she started doing with Goody Addams in season 1. And this is like the Addams family graveyard. And there's also a line that plays when the family arrives at Nevermore to drop Wednesday off, where Morticia tells Wednesday uncovering family secrets can lead to deadly consequences. So yeah, that to me says that, like, Wednesday's continuing to investigate the family and their history. We also see Morticia reading some sort of old journal with a drawing of a woman with red tears, and she's screaming. Yeah, and the words black tears are written all over it like it's The Shining. It's this creepy journal. Yeah, then she closes the journal and kind of looks up looking troubled. Like a nervous look, like she's worried about events to come. Yeah, and then the next shot is Wednesday creepily looking up with black tears, as if she's having one of her visions. Yeah, so maybe these black tears have to do with the visions, and Morticia's thinking that Wednesday has inherited some dark family power or something. So we know that we're going to see more members of the Addams family, and their family history seems to be part of the plot, like it was in season 1. So going off that, I have a theory for you folks. There's a shot in here where we see some bees flying through a pink mist. There's a beekeeping club that's with Eugene and Wednesday, so maybe they're from their hive. Yeah, so we see the bees, they're flying through the mist, then we see Wednesday, and she's wearing this uniform of sorts with this wording on it. It's hard to make out the first letter, but you can clearly see Ophelia written on it. But I bet that first letter is an O, because Ophelia is the name of their dorm wing, and that comes from Shakespeare's Hamlet. However, it's also a nod to an Addams Family character from past Addams Family iterations. Morticia's sister was named Ophelia. So Ophelia comes up a few times throughout various Addams Family shows and movies. In the original live action, she was introduced in a 2-part episode in the second season that was called Morticia's Romance. So apparently Gomez Addams, Wednesday's dad, was originally engaged to Ophelia in an arranged marriage kind of deal. Yeah, but that kind of fell apart because Gomez fell for Morticia, and Ophelia ends up with Itz, I think his name is. Yeah, I just looked it up. It's Itz, the hairy creature. That's who Ophelia ends up with. And in the new Addams Family series that came out years later, they added this element to the dynamic between Morticia and Ophelia, where Ophelia is a little mean to Morticia, perhaps out of resentment over how things went down with that arranged marriage. Yeah, so maybe what's going on here is we're going to see like an inverse of what we saw in the first season, how there was a historic dark romance with, I forget the guy's name, but yeah, when they were at Nevermore, there was this creepy guy that really liked Morticia, and he ends up dying, doesn't he? Yeah, I think that's what goes down. So maybe this season we're going to get the inverse, where Ophelia is back, and she has some resentment about how things went down with the marriage, or maybe she's still in love with Gomez. And I also have some ideas for who could be playing Ophelia. So I love Kristen Milioti. I think she's really talented and plays roles like this extremely well. However, she's not blonde, so that's probably not right, because Ophelia's blonde. Though, they could go the comedic route, as they did for some of the characters, like Uncle Fester is Fred Arneson. He's famous for SNL. Yeah, so going off that, maybe someone like Amy Poehler, or maybe Amy Schumer, double Amy's, yeah. Maybe Lisa Kudrow. Yeah, she's Phoebe from Friends. Yeah, I think any of those would be fine choices. However, I don't think any of those names are right. I think Ophelia is going to be played by Lady Gaga. Yeah, you guys have probably heard, it's rumored and it's confirmed really, that Lady Gaga is going to be in a cameo of sorts in Wednesday Season 2. And this is what I believe her role is going to be. I believe she's going to be Ophelia Addams. So a problem with this is like, well, what's a cameo? It's like a brief appearance. So how could she play like a real role? Well, a lot of fans have been theorizing with Weems that we're not. I'll talk about this in a minute, but there's a theory that Weems is still alive and she's a shapeshifter, and people are thinking there's going to be other shapeshifters. So maybe Ophelia is somehow shapeshifting. I don't think she has that power in the lore, but maybe they add it somehow. Yeah, and that's how you solve the problem with not being able to afford Lady Gaga as much as you would need her for a role like that, because you only actually need her for the parts where she is herself. Like, if she's a shapeshifter, she may be posing as someone else a lot of the time to make it so you don't actually need Lady Gaga, the actual appearance of the character for a lot of it. Yeah, so that's bold, but you know what? That's what I'm to go with. I'm to go with Ophelia Addams is going to be in this show. She's going to be part of the plot, maybe part of the antagonist group, and she's going to be played by Lady Gaga. Another character that's probably going to be part of this antagonist group is the Cloaked figure. You know, that person that wears that white mask and that red cloak. So I'm thinking that this is going to be Wednesday's stalker. Remember, at the end of season 1, she gets those texts, like pictures of her, and then like the message, like, I'm watching you. Yeah, she has that stalker. That's who I think this cloaked figure is going to be. And given the pictures, they're like the school events, it would make sense for it to be a student. And yeah, and they do, from the stature, I would guess that, yeah, they're a younger person. Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to go with that. Yeah, some character that we're not seeing the whole picture of yet is going to be part of what's going on, and maybe they're behind the new killings. Like we see someone getting stabbed in front of the headlights of a car. Maybe that's this masked person. And we also see at one point in the trailer that Enid is in a cell. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what's going to be going on is Enid's being framed for the killings, or for whatever reason, like people think that she's like losing control of her werewolf form, and that's what's causing the killings. That's to be my guess as to what's going on here, and that's why she's in a cell and they're containing her werewolf form. So yeah, who is the masked person? So going off characters from season 1, really the obvious candidates would be Yoko and Davina. Yeah, and they're both nightshades, yet they're under the radar. They're not important characters. So yeah, maybe one of them's going to have a bigger role in season 2. Yeah, and given the dynamic between Wednesday and Bianca, my guess would be that she's going to accuse Bianca of being behind it first, but she'll be wrong. Yeah, you know, it is similar to season 1 with what was going on with the boys, but yeah, whatever. I'm also thinking that maybe what's going to happen here is after Bianca is accused, or after Enid's accused, that the real masked person is going to feel bad, like they feel responsible for like their friend or anyone else ending up having to be punished for things they're doing. They feel bad about the whole thing, and they end up making a mistake of some kind, like some random attack just to confirm that whoever they have locked up isn't responsible, or you know, some attempt to help them escape or something like that. And that's what's going to be what gives them away. That's how Wednesday is going to figure out who it is. She'll at first think like it's part of the plan, and she'll slowly realize that's not what's going on here. They feel bad that someone else has taken the blame for things they're doing, and they're trying to fix it. Yeah, so just an idea, not one I'm super confident in, but yeah, I'll throw it out there. Now let's talk about the Principal Weems theory that's been going around. So pretty quickly after season 1 wrapped up, many fans were quick to point out that there's a way Principal Weems could be back. So what they noticed is that the first time we see Lurch, I guess when they're on their way to Nevermore, his eyes are this pale color. But at the end, when we see him in the finale, they're regular brown. So, like, it's a weird change. And fans are thinking that this is Principal Weems in disguise because she's a shapeshifter. And maybe she just didn't get a good enough look at Lurch to realize, like, his eyes are pale. Like, she has the wrong color. Yeah, so I think this could absolutely be right. Like, because they're choosing to draw attention to the eyes. Like, I looked at the shots again to make sure it's fresh in my mind, and like whoever's directing those, I guess, would have been Tim Burton for the first one, someone else for the finale, I think, and like the way the cinematography is done there is designed to draw attention to it. Like I remember distinctly the finale. Like the shot that really shows it doesn't need to be there, but they chose to put it there. They could have just stayed on Wednesday, but they chose to do a wider shot of Lurch where they had him in focus and Wednesday not in focus. So they were choosing to draw attention to it. So yeah, I definitely think something's going on there. I'd hesitate to say that it's going to be Weems because it just feels pretty obvious. Like, people have noticed it so quickly. But maybe this is another shapeshifter. Like many people have been theorizing as well that in order to pull some sort of switcheroo where Weems ends up sort of assumed dead and can assume like an undercover role kind of thing, like she needed another shapeshifter, and she probably knows other ones because like we see throughout the show that people with similar powers tend to know each other. Like that's just kind of how this outcast society, whatever, works. Yeah. So, yeah, and I have kind of always thought Weems would be back just because I couldn't, at first, I just couldn't fathom killing Gwendolyn Christie's character off. She's a good actress, a bigger name for the show, at least for season 1. And yeah, I was thinking, like, no way she's dead because, like, why get an actress like that to play a role like that just to kill her off for, after one season? Just doesn't feel right. Like, thing is, I could see Tim Burton doing that because he is a cinematographer who will prioritize the vision over like financial stuff. That's something I respect about him. Like, if he saw Gwendolyn Christie for that role and was like, it doesn't financially make sense, but that's who should play this role, I think he would go for it. Yeah, like I'm like I said before, I'm not really a huge fan of this genre, but man, I respect Tim Burton as a director and cinematographer a lot. I think he is excellent at what he does. Yeah, I'd be honored to meet or work under him one day. Yeah, this could be where Ophelia is tied in. Maybe she knows a shapeshifter or somehow becomes a shapeshifter, and she's somehow in cahoots with Weems or is like kidnapped Weems or something, and is like switched places with her earlier in the show. Like maybe when I think it was Wednesday was following her when Weems is on the way to like the train station and she kept changing form. Maybe somehow another shapeshifter, perhaps Ophelia, slipped in there, like kidnapped Weems and assumed her place then. And it's actually been then that the real Weems has been gone. Something like that could be at work. Yeah. And then now, of course, they've worked their way into the Addams family and they're posing as Lurch. Could definitely see that being Ophelia, or her being involved in that at least. And there's also this new principal. This is Steve Buscemi as Principal Barry Dort. So yeah, maybe he's involved in all this somehow. Yeah, like maybe he's been planning his ascension to the role of principal for a while, and he's like the mastermind or works for the mastermind. I don't know. And that would make sense if Weems is coming back because then he'd kind of be the odd person out. If she's the principal, she comes back, that kind of puts him like as the odd man out. So if he's part of the antagonist group, that would make some sense because that gives you a way you could write him out without it feeling weird. Creates the spot for Weems, and it's not weird that he's now gone. Yeah, so those are my thoughts and predictions for Wednesday Season 2. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I really like this show. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.